So you're thinking about using an iPhone 8 Plus in 2025? I get it. It's definitely a throwback. This phone originally launched back in September 2017, and using it today feels like stepping into a different era of smartphones. But honestly, there's something kind of refreshing about going back to a more classic iPhone. If you're not into Face ID or the all-screen designs that dominate today's phones, the 8 Plus has its charm. I've spent some time with it recently, and while it's far from perfect, it's still surprisingly usable for basic tasks. Whether you're thinking about it as a secondary phone, a reliable backup, or just want to relive some Apple nostalgia, I've got you covered. Let's break down what it's like to use the iPhone 8 Plus in 2025. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Starting with the design. If you've used any iPhone from before 2018, the 8 Plus is going to feel instantly familiar. You've got those classic chunky bezels on the top and bottom, and of course the home button with Touch ID. None of that Face ID or all-screen action here. And honestly, there's something nostalgic and comforting about that clicky home button. It's like pulling out your old Nintendo DS. It just hits different. Now, is the design dated? Absolutely. Compared to today's sleek, edge-to-edge phones with curved glass and no buttons in sight, the iPhone 8 Plus definitely looks like a product of the past, but it still holds its own in certain areas. The 5.5-inch Retina display is 1080p and surprisingly sharp. It's not OLED, so blacks aren't as deep and the contrast isn't as punchy. But for casual media consumption, YouTube, TikTok, web browsing, it does the job just fine. Brightness is decent, colors look good, and honestly, you won't feel like you're using a bad display unless you've been spoiled by the latest iPhones. The glass back was a big deal back when the 8 Plus dropped, because it introduced wireless charging to the iPhone lineup. In 2025, that's completely standard now. Even budget phones support it. But hey, it's still nice that the 8 Plus has it. The phone also feels very solid thanks to its glass and aluminum build. It's sturdy, well-made, and has that old-school Apple premium feel. Now, let's talk performance. You might be wondering, is the A11 Bionic chip still usable in 2025? Surprisingly, yes. This chip was a beast in its day, and while it's obviously not going to match the performance of newer chips like the A17 or M series, it's still fast enough for everyday use. I tested Instagram, WhatsApp, Spotify, YouTube, all ran without any major hiccups. Even casual gaming was smooth. Sure, you'll see some slowdown if you push it hard with heavy games or multitasking, but for basic tasks, it's still reliable. One important thing to note, the iPhone 8 Plus is capped at iOS 16. It no longer receives major iOS updates, so you won't be seeing iOS 17 or any of the newer Apple features. That means no Apple Intelligence, no new security enhancements down the road, and eventually, apps may stop supporting it. But for now, most apps still work fine, so if you're sticking to the basics, it's totally usable. Let's talk about Touch ID for a second. I know Face ID is the big thing now, and yeah, it's cool when it works. But there's something about Touch ID that just feels reliable. You can unlock your phone while wearing sunglasses, a mask, or in low light. No awkward misreads or failed attempts. Just press your thumb, and boom, you're in. Honestly, after using newer iPhones, I found myself missing Touch ID. It's consistent, simple, and fast. In 2025, it almost feels refreshing to go back to it. Sure, it's old school, but it still works like a charm. As for the cameras, they're decent for casual shots, but don't expect miracles. Great for social media, but definitely not competing with today's flagship cameras. Alright, so here's where things get a little more interesting. The camera. Don't get me wrong, the iPhone 8 Plus was a beast when it launched, with its dual 12-megapixel setup, one wide and one telephoto with 2x optical zoom. And honestly, for what it is, it still holds up surprisingly well. In good lighting, the photos are solid. You can get some great shots, and portrait mode still looks pretty clean. I actually took a few photos for Instagram, and no one guessed they were from a phone this old. But as soon as the lights go down, the weaknesses show. Low light performance is where the 8 Plus starts to struggle. It doesn't have night mode like newer iPhones, so photos in dim conditions come out noisy and soft. If night photography is your thing, this might be a bit of a letdown. Also, there's no ultra-wide lens, something we've all gotten used to. So, you're limited to the wide and telephoto lenses. Not a deal breaker, but it's worth considering if you're coming from a phone with more camera flexibility. Selfies? They're okay. The 7-megapixel front camera does fine for FaceTime or a quick Snapchat, but don't expect flagship-level sharpness. For basic social media use, though, it still gets the job done. Alright, here's the part you're probably wondering about. Battery life. Spoiler alert, it's not amazing. The iPhone 8 Plus comes with a 2,691 mAh battery, which was fine back in 2017. But by 2025 standards, it's definitely on the smaller side. And considering this phone is now over 6 years old, there's a good chance the battery has degraded quite a bit, unless you've had it replaced recently. If you're just using it for light stuff, texting, checking social media, or watching a few videos, it'll probably get you through most of the day. But once you start gaming, streaming Netflix, or using GPS for long stretches, you'll definitely be reaching for a charger before bedtime. On the bright side, it does support fast charging, up to 50% in about 30 minutes with the right charger, and wireless charging too. So topping it up isn't too much of a hassle. But if you're thinking about using this as your main phone, it's probably smart to keep a charger or power bank nearby. So is the iPhone 8 Plus still worth it in 2025? Honestly, it depends on your needs. If you're looking for a solid secondary phone, maybe something to use while traveling, for work, or just as a reliable backup, the iPhone 8 Plus is still a decent pick. It's stable, it still handles everyday tasks surprisingly well, and it has that classic iPhone feel with Touch ID and the iconic home button. There's also a fun nostalgia factor in using a phone that looks and feels so different from today's all-screen devices. But if you're thinking of using it as your main phone, there are a few compromises you'll need to accept. The battery life, like we mentioned, isn't great. The camera is starting to show its age, especially in low light. And perhaps most importantly, it's stuck on iOS 16. That means no newer software features or long-term security updates. For some, those might be deal breakers. Still, if you can find a unit in good condition at a low price, and you're okay with those trade-offs, the iPhone 8 Plus could be worth considering in 2025. It's kind of like owning a retro iPhone that still manages to hold its own in today's world. And hey, if you're someone who's never loved Face ID, having that reliable Touch ID fingerprint scanner is a nice bonus. It might not be flashy, but the 8 Plus still gets the job done.